Greetings, this is Doc Ock coming at you live and direct from Black Facts Headquarters Central tonight with another scary story. We asked you all that watched our noontime show today, what would you do if the first letter in your name disappeared and you disappeared right along with it? What would you do? Scary story for tonight. But before we get there, let's go ahead and do the needful before I have to go and get pleadful. Number one, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the Tubular Black Facts channel right here on YouTube so that you'll be notified every time we come on the air, because our times do vary, as you may have noticed, from time to time, only because we're such perfectionists. Think about that for a minute. And we're very short-staffed as well. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and do our word of the day. Word of the day from the island of Jamaica. You can sit down pon cow back. You can't sit down pon cow back, cuss cow kin. You can't sit down pon cow back, cuss cow kin. That's right. That don't make no sense. Why you sitting on the cow's back and you cussing his kin? Okay? Leave his kin alone before he bump you off his back. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and move on. We got a extra we're going to throw in here tonight. We got some extra words of wisdom from none other than Fannie Lou Hamer. That's right. The one and only Fannie Lou. And so tonight, without any further ado, we're going to give you some words of wisdom from old Fannie Lou. Right out of the book, Voice of Freedom, Fannie Lou Hamer. That's right. Spirit of the Civil Rights Movement. And let's see what Fannie Lou has to say tonight. What does Fannie Lou have to say tonight? I had it here a minute ago. Here we go here. The book is called The Voice of Freedom. This particular poem is called The Price of Freedom. And it's a very short poem, so we're going to get right into it as soon as we transition to our slideshow for tonight. The price of freedom. Before I could cast a single vote, I had to pay a poll tax I couldn't afford and dodge the night riders who cruised slow as molasses past my house with guns, armed to the teeth, after my name was printed in the paper. Too bad a voter registration card couldn't pay the rent. When Pap lost his job, we got by on $10 a week, raised by those young voting rights workers who opened my eyes to the change a-coming. I hopped aboard that freedom train, and you know that. Fannie Lou Hamer. Words of wisdom from Fannie Lou. Good book. Voice of Freedom by Fannie Lou Hamer. If you haven't got that for your youth yet, your youth are missing out. Need to get them on that train too. Meanwhile, let me go ahead and read the book for tonight. The day they stole the letter J by Jabari Mahiri, illustrated by Dorothy Carter. And she did some very fine illustrations for it. Unfortunately, everything inside the book is in black and white, so that the inside is not nearly as nice as the outside. And this book is dedicated, by the way, to Juba, Jelani, Kobe, and Ajamu. And I don't know if that's Kobe Bryant or some other Kobe. I believe it's a different Kobe, but you never know, right? Jelani didn't know why he liked the letter J so much. Maybe it was because the shape was simple and easy to make. He didn't have trouble writing it like he did with M's and W's. They have too many humps, he would say, while trying to make the M's and W's look right. Perhaps he liked J because it was the first letter in his name. Sometimes his father would just call him Jay for short when he wanted Jelani to come in a hurry. Hey Jay, bring me the jar of grape jam. I have to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for my lunch. But one thing is for sure, Jelani liked the letter J better than any other letter in the alphabet, and there wasn't anything wrong with that. One day, Jelani's mother bought some colorful magnetic alphabet letters and stuck them on the refrigerator door. Jelani had fun with the letters. First, he made his name and then other words he could think of. He was in the middle of a game he had made up with the letters when his older sister, Nia, came into the kitchen. She was all dressed up and looking good, looking real good. She had on that new jade jewelry she had bought. Look, Nia, Jelani said with a tone of discovery, I can make a lot of different words out of the word cat just by changing the first letter. She watched while he made the words hat, bat, mat, fat, and tat. Tat is not a word, said Nia. That's not tat, that's that, smiled Jelani. Nia moved the T over and slipped an H in. Now it spells that. You've got to have all the letters or you can't make the word. You've got to have all the letters or you can't make the word, she said. Now let me go. I've got to catch a jumbo jet to Jersey City this afternoon. I'm visiting a friend in just a minute. Jelani stepped back and watched his sister open the refrigerator and put an apple and a banana in her purse. Then she filled a glass from the jug of orange juice, drank it, and rushed out to her room to finish packing. Jelani thought about what Nia had said. You've got to have all the letters or you can't make the word. The thought stayed with him as he went out front to play. Hey, Jerome, what's happening? Jelani waved as he came out on the porch. Jerome was Jelani's good friend from across the street. Ain't nothing to it, Jerome shrugged. What we gonna do today? Let's do something different. We haven't done anything different since I got out of the Xxiii for the summer, Jelani said. There you go with them African words again. Why don't you just speak English, Jay? I don't go to no Xxiii. I go to a school, okay? You in America now. It means the same thing, Jerome, only in the Xxiii we learn things about Africa in addition to learning things about here. Okay, before you start telling me all about Africa again, let's figure out what we're going to do today. I know, said Jelani. Let's go over to the schoolyard and watch the older brothers play basketball. Maybe Herman the helicopter will be there today and he can really play. Nah, Jay, I like watching them too, but we do that all the time. And I get tired of them making us run out and get the ball every time it goes over the fence. They both thought for a minute. I know, said Jerome. Let's go around to old JoJo's barbershop. We can play some of the game machines people play there waiting for a haircut. Besides, he might tell us another one of his stories if he isn't too busy. Yeah, good idea. Wait a minute, Jerome said. The machines cost $0.25, but I don't have but a dime. I got a dime and a nickel, said Jelani. Let's see, said Jerome. My dime makes 10 cents. Your dime makes 10 more cents. How much is that so far? 20 cents, said Jelani. Okay, and your nickel makes 5 cents more. 20 cents and 5 cents makes 25 cents. Let's go. I'll race you there, said Jelani, and off they ran. JoJo's barbershop was in a storefront on Martin Delaney Street. That wasn't the street's official name, but for some reason, JoJo always called it that. The shop was crowded with books and magazines, electronic game machines, sets for checkers and chess, and scraps of all sizes and shapes of what JoJo called his sacred wood. There was an assortment of African-type masks and statues which JoJo had carved during slow periods in the shop. Sometimes his customers bought these carvings. Sometimes he just gave them away. Well, hello, my little friends, JoJo said as Jelani and Jerome ran into the shop. JoJo put a cloth over something he'd been polishing. Then he sat in one of the big barber chairs. His face was lit up with a smile because he really enjoyed their company. How have you young brothers been? I ain't seen y'all for a while. We're fine, Jelani said. Have you got any new stuff in since we were here the last time? See for yourself, said JoJo. But first, I have a surprise. Oh, yeah, said Jerome. Tell us another one of those good stories. Well, that wasn't my surprise exactly, but I can tell you one of them too. Which one would you like to hear? I want to hear another story about Luke the Hare, Jelani said. He did some funny things way back in Africa. And I like it when you make your voice sound like an old African storyteller. Oh, you like the tales of the griots, huh? But Jerome asked, why don't you tell us another story about Bro Rabbit and his friends? I like hearing about the things they used to do down south. And it cracks me up when you make your voice sound like old Uncle Remus. You brothers really like the stories with characters like Bro Rabbit and Luke the Hare, don't you? Well, let me explain something. Black people used to always tell exciting or funny stories about animals, but these stories had something important to say about real life too. It's a shame that we've kind of gotten away from that now. Those stories are a part of black culture. Now, other people have taken some of those same ideas and made a lot of money off of them. Did you ever think about how Bugs Bunny in Saturday morning cartoons is a lot like our friends Brer Rabbit and Luke the Hare? JoJo continued. Well, don't dwell on it now, because I want to tell you a different kind of story today. Did I ever tell you the one about the trial by fire? That's one I heard in church, said Jerome. It's about 3 men who were put in a fiery furnace because they believed in God, but they didn't burn up because God saved them. And you have a good memory, son, to remember that story from church, but mine is different. Do you all know where Haiti is? Well, I heard of it, but I don't know where it is, said Jelani. But in school, I learned that it's a country with mostly black people in it. And you learned right, son. This story takes place in Haiti. It's about how a brother used some voodoo to get out of a hot situation. Voodoo? Ooh, does that mean magic? Asked Jerome. His eyes had gotten large with interest. He took a seat directly in front of the big barber chair. It really just means spirit, said JoJo. Our minds have been confused by some of these movie pictures of half-naked black people brewing stews and shaking bones and all that. JoJo now was on a subject that he liked. He started to go on, but he could see the boys were ready for the story. So in one of his many storytelling voices, JoJo began. The smoky charcoal smell of 1,000 cooking fires filled the air of Haiti's capital city, Port-au-Prince. But on this day, the city that's usually alive with excitement was now in ghostly silence. Today was the day that a Haitian man accused of killing a tourist would be given a trial by fire. Both Jelani and Jerome already had questions. JoJo, however, just waved them aside and went on with the story. Soon the silence was broken by a steady drum beat. Slowly a crowd began to gather near the famed Iron Marketplace. A large fire was being built with 2 rows of wood shaped to form a pathway. Into the middle of the path, hot coals were thrown. Meanwhile, relatives of the accused man had planted a long pole into the ground called a peristyle. Then they cut off the head of a large chicken and scattered its feathers to the 4 winds. As he talked, JoJo also motioned how these things were done. Finally, the accused man was brought out, made to sit at the beginning of the fiery path. Everyone knew the man's life depended on a visit from a Loa, In other words, his body would have to be possessed by the god of fire if he was going to survive. The drums continued. Bum 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 bum. The crowd waited. The man seemed to slip into a deep, relaxed trance. Bum 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 bum. Suddenly, and JoJo made a loud clap at this point. The trance broke. The man started speaking in what seemed like 1,000 different languages. He leaped up and landed in the blazing fire. He didn't just walk. He danced across the burning coals, and if this were not enough, he picked up a piece of flaming wood, bit off a mouthful, and chewed it up. It must have been good, because when he ate the whole thing, then he finished and he just laughed and patted his stomach. Then the whole crowd went into an uproar. They danced and sang in time with the drums. Bum biddy bum 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 biddy bum 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 bum. The festivities lasted long into the night, because once again the gods had shown favor with the people. And tomorrow night I'll tell you the rest of that story. But for tonight, our story is over. Our work is done. We're through having our little bit of fun. And now we just gonna have to get ready and run, because it's just about time to go. It's about time for us to go ahead and blow. And that's gonna be the same for you, for sure. But in the meanwhile, you know we gotta do it with style. So what I like all you little children out there to do right now is to lay your little head on your little hands, on your little pillow, on your little bed, close those eyes, and wait on that sun to rise. And when you feel those sunbeams beaming down on your eyes, you'll know that it's time for you to rise and shine, oh chillin' of mine. And in the meantime, don't forget to rejoin us, all you adults out there, tomorrow when we read further stories out of the book The Fences Between by Norma Marceray, about a young black woman in the 20s in northeastern Ohio. That's right. She grew up right here in Canton, Ohio, went to school here in Kent, Ohio at Kent State, and then returned to Canton and ended up working in Akron. So she's been around. She's seen a few things, and she wrote her stuff down. And she will be sharing some of those stories with you tomorrow at noon, because this is Doc Ock at noon and 9. We'll see you tomorrow at noon, and if not, we'll see you at 9. In the meanwhile, have a good time, have a good night, and let me just go ahead and give a shout out to old Ronnie Diallo right over there. We'll see you, Ronnie. Hope the children are doing well, and hope you share some of these stories with your children too. Don't forget, because we've been sharing a few with you. Don't hog them all for yourself now. Peace out without a doubt, with plenty of justice on top.